Hello to all, welcome on the Watches TV, and today we're going to talk about one of these crazy watches we love talking about, a true and fine example of a watchmaking art balancing complex mechanics and strong aesthetical choices. This timepiece is called Anywhere and you'll soon understand why, and it is the second model presented by the small and young brand Krayon. So the other day we had the visit of Rémi Maillard here at the Watches Club, and he came with both new variants of this timepiece. But first let me quickly come back on this brand. And when I said small, well, I really meant small, as the brand consists of Rémi, the mechanical brain, and his partner who takes care more of the communication and commercial side of the business. And to produce their watches, well, they work with some great suppliers, and, well, you know our appreciation for all these amazing suppliers that you can find here in Switzerland. I also said a young brand, but Krayon made a strong impression a few years ago when they introduced a timepiece called Everywhere, a more complex version of the watch we will talk about today, even though this Anywhere version is already immensely complex. So I guess you're already starting to figure out a few things, anywhere versus everywhere, but I'll be quick and will share with you a few more details or reminders about this first model presented in 2017, which by the way won the Best Innovation Prize at the 2018 GPHG. In a few words, the idea was to let the wearer of the watch choose at his will the longitude and latitude corresponding to his desire, such as where he currently was or where he was heading to. And according to this geographical information, well, the timepiece will very cleverly display the actual hour of sunrise and sunset with a sliding mechanism on the dial face, and I seriously hope I didn't yet lose you with this very summarized description of this Everywhere watch. To offer such an interaction naturally meant the development of an immensely complex mechanism of approximately 600 components, yes, slightly complex, which of course has to take into account calendar information, but to be super precise, the sunset and sunrise information have to be corrected by an equation of time complication. I know it does sound pretty crazy and just demonstrates nicely what goes on into Rémi's head, meaning a lot. But now let's go back to the watch of the day, as this one reuses partially some of this previous development, but it has been slightly simplified. Only 432 components. Yes, simplified is very relative, but this also means that this watch is a bit smaller than its predecessor, now coming in a very elegant 39mm white gold or rose gold case, and I will come back on its execution in a minute. So the main difference with this Anywhere watch is that now the wearer cannot change by himself this geographical information, but it doesn't mean that it can't be changed. So you initially choose the desired spot, hometown, place of birth, where your mom lives, well, anywhere on the planet, and this will be set for you. But then by yourself you can very easily set the calendar information, and with these two information, well, the watch will then also display this sunset sunset information with a similar sliding window mechanism on the periphery of the dial. So with the crown you can naturally wound the watch. It's indeed a manually hand wound watch. And in the second position you set the date, and on the third, well, you set the time. But coming back on the date setting, it is extremely easy and fast to do. I mean, if you want to jump 6 months because you simply didn't use your watch for that period of time, well, it takes seconds to perform. I mean, it's quite spectacular and very ergonomic, and you see this calendar information at 6 o'clock with the date information on the outside and month on the inside of this subdial. And actually it is really when you play a bit with the date that you can see in action this sunrise sunset indication move accordingly, and it is at the junction of the night and day indication where you will logically find the time of sunrise, which you can read with this 24-hour scale going all around the dial, and vice versa, sunset time on the opposite side. And additional to this info, and also using this scale, well, you have a sun rotating in 24 hours around it, and also giving you the time relative to the sunrise sunset info. Kind of a very fancy day-night indicator, actually. So how does this all work? Well, on the movement side, you can see a cam system pushing onto 4 racks, which will then make these sapphire sliders move on the dial side. So this system requires extremely fine machining to be as accurate as possible, and this entire assembly rotates on itself in a full year. And this is also where the watchmaker will be able to intervene and adjust the system to correspond to the latitude of your liking if you want to have a different display of this sunrise sunset information. Okay, let's now talk finishing and execution, and as you can see, I mean, the level is all the way up there, fine beveling, polishing, and what to say about these very original Geneva stripes, mimicking the actual equation of time sinusoid corresponding to Neuchâtel, where Krayon is actually based. Another local feature is the shape of some bridges with the outline of the shores of the Neuchâtel lake. A nice little touch, but of course, I mean, you have to know about this, otherwise it's just kind of an odd shape. Okay, but everything has been thought of with this watch, and they really pushed far. For instance, the rays of the small wandering sun are all different, with beautiful angling and polishing to accentuate the visual impact with light reflecting differently on each ray. But it has been machined from a single piece of metal, so I guess you can easily imagine how complex this has been to produce. Same can be said about the hour markers, a single block machine with many different surfaces. And well, what about the guilloche of the dial itself? I mean, this is also a magnificent achievement, representing a globe with latitude and longitude lines, with the pole placed where the date indications are found. So I told you Remy really thought about everything. There are no shortcuts taken, and overall this is really an amazing timepiece coming in 2 execution, like I said, either in a white gold case and blue dial, personally my favorite, and a yellow gold version with a more beige-like dial. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Just love to witness such creativity and mechanical excellence, such complexity, but without throwing it in your face. I mean, it's a subtle and elegant way of bringing something different. So hats off to Rémi Maillard for this amazing development. And for info, well, this new model is priced significantly lower than the previous Everywhere version. Okay, I mean, it doesn't come cheap, of course, but that's totally understandable. All right, thanks for watching. See you real soon for some other great watchmaking achievements. All the very best to you. Take care and viva crazy watchmaking!